Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, that is RNH Education, and I am Ravindra with a new topic, that is history for WBCS. And in this video I am going to discuss the Mauryan Empire. Okay, I'm starting the slide now. The first one, that is the Mauryan Empire. It was from 321 to 185 BC. Okay, it was from 321 to 185 BC. Okay, I am going to next slide. The next one, that is in this video I am going to discuss the following topic, that is the empire. Number 2, the Mauryan conquest. Number 3, material basis of the Mauryan empire. Number 4, land revenue. 5, the urban economy. Number 6, society and religion. Number 7, Ashoka's policy of Dhamma. And number 8, Mauryan administration. Number 9, relations with other powers. And number 10, the downfall of the empire. Okay, so let us start. The first one, that is source material. Okay friends, the source material. The major source material for the Mauryan period are two very interesting literary works. One is the Arthashastra, okay, written by Kautilya or Chanakya, the prime minister of Chandragupta Maurya, which explains how good government should be organized. Okay, and the other source is Indica. Okay, other source is Indica, which was written in Greek by Megasthenes, the ambassador of Seleucus Nicator at the court of Chandragupta. Okay friends, and the next one, Megasthenes wrote not only about the capital city of Patliputra but also about the Mauryan empire as a whole and about the society. Okay friends, now I am going to next slide. The next one is about the Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, Chandragupta Maurya was the founder of the dynasty. The founder was Chandragupta Maurya, and under him the whole northern India was united. He conspired with Chanakya, the minister of the Andhus. Who was Chanakya? Chanakya was the minister of Andhus, to overthrow the lust of the Nanda king and occupy their capital Patliputra. This success is linked with the accessions to the throne around 321 BC. It has been suggested that the political rise of Chandragupta was followed by the invasion of Alexander in the northwest. Okay friends, and the next one, going to next slide. The next slide is Chandragupta negotiated with Seleucus Nicator, the Greek viceroy of Alexander, who ruled over the area west of the Indus. Seleucus was forced to concede eastern Afghanistan, Baluchistan, and the area west of the Indus. A marriage alliance was also concluded. Further, Seleucus sent an ambassador called Megasthenes, who lived in the court of Chandragupta for many years. And the next one is Bindu Sure. Who was Bindu Sure? Son of Chandragupta. Okay friends, Bindu Sure is said to have ascended the throne in 297 BC. In the classical sources, he is referred to as Amitrochatus, and that he had contacts with the Seleucid king of Syria, Antiochus I. It is believed that Bindu Sure extended the kingdom further and conquered the south as far as Mysore. Buddhist sources put the death of Bindu Sure around 273 to 272 BC. After the death, there was a struggle for succession among the sons for about 4 years. Ultimately, around 269 to 268 BC, Ashoka was crowned Bindu Sure's successors. Okay, friends. Going to next slide. Next one is Ashoka. Ashoka is credited with having conquered only Kalinga, Odisha. Kalinga was of strategic importance as it controlled routes to South India both on land and sea. Ashoka, in Rock Edict 13, describes his conquest of Kalinga, which is said to have taken place 8 years after his coronation, that is around 260 BC. Going to next slide. In the war, though on the battlefield Ashoka was victorious, The inscription goes on to describe his remorse, which then ultimately turned him towards Buddhism and adopting his policy of Dhamma Vijaya. In the east, the empire of the Mauryas seemed to have included North and South Bengal. The Magadha Empire thus reached its greatest territorial expansion under Ashoka. Going to next one. The next one is uses of iron. In the excavation carried out in the Ganges Valley, different types of iron tools like socketed axes, sickles, and possibly plowshares have been found. That these were essential to the practice of intensive agriculture in the heavy and loamy soil of the Ganges Valley cannot be overemphasized. Numerous small heaps of iron slag have been found scattered all over the iron belt of South Bihar. Sophisticated techniques for making different kinds of iron were also known, as can be understood from understood from the Arthashastra. This should be from, okay friends. Going to next slide. System of taxation. The system of taxation under the Mauryan rule constitutes a landmark in ancient India. The land revenue collection was efficiently organized so as to appropriate the maximum possible surplus from the people. Land tax, that is called Vaga. Land tax, the main item of revenue, was quite high and was levied at the rate of 1/6 of the produce. 1/6, okay? Though the Greek accounts puts them at the rate of 1/4. There was a large number of customary dues that the peasants had to pay. For example, a tax called Indakara was paid by those practicing animal husbandry. Okay, Pindakara. Okay, friends. There was another tax known as Hiranno, the exact nature of which is not known, but it was probably a tax paid in cash because Hiranno literally means it is gold. Going to next slide. Next one is merchandising. The development of the Agrarian economy had given a solid economic basis of the Mauryan Empire, particularly in the Ganges Valley. Internal trade was considerably benefited because river transport had improved and the forests around the valleys had been cleared under state initiative. The state's policy, particularly under Bindu Sure and Ashoka, to have peaceful and friendly relations with the Greeks gave fillip to foreign trade. State goods, that is Raja Panna, were to the normally sold by state servants. The assistance of private traders was also sought as their network of distribution was well organized and widespread. The superintendent of tolls, find it, the term is here, collected from traders customs dues ranging from 1/5 to 1/25 of the value of goods. Okay, going to next one. Monopoly of mining and metallurgy. An important aspect of the Mauryan economy which increased royal power and assisted in the maintenance of the vast empire was the monopoly of mining and metallurgy. The Arthashastra clearly provides for the superintendent of mines, his chief function being prospecting for new mines and reopening old and misused ones. The state sold a great deal of metal of traders, artisans, guilds, goldsmiths, and individual manufacturers, thereby making a lot of money. Next one, that is currency. Another significant development was the use of currency, which had begun in the earlier period but became fairly common in the Mauryan period because of the development of commerce. Money was used not only for trade, even the government paid its officers in cash. Okay, salaries ranging from 60 to 48,000 upanas per year were significant. The state functioned on the basis of powerful cash economy. The largest number of punch-marked, mostly silver coins which have been found can be assigned to the Mauryan period come from eastern UP and Bihar, which constituted the nucleus of the empire. Going to next slide. This is about the urbanization. The process of urbanization, which had begun in the Mauryan period, witnessed further growth. The urban economy, characterized by the activities of the manufacturers of goods, merchants, and a system of exchange, began to spread from the Ganges Valley to other areas of western and central India, Deccan and southern India. Okay. The development and administration of towns was given much importance by the Mauryans, and the taxes received from towns paid rich dividends to the state. Going to next slide. That is Varna system. Okay, that is Varna system. The social organization was based on the Varna system, with the 4 traditional Varnas becoming endogamous and therefore rigid. The Vaishyas were also twice born Dijas, like the Brahmans and the Kshatriyas, but were socially inferior to them. The lower orders, the Shudras, were no less hostile to the upper classes. They were dissatisfied with the conditions of their life and hence indulged in criminal activities. Going to next slide. That is religious ideas. The existence of several religious sects may have also contributed to tensions and conflicts within the society. Despite the growing influence of Buddhism and Jainism, the Vedas did not completely lose their hold on the people. Kautilya extolled the Vedic way of life, and there are indications of the Arthashastra that several deities were worshipped in temples. By the 4th century BC, Buddhism had, however, emerged as a distinct religion with potential for expansion. The Third Buddhist Council at Patliputra also decided to send missionaries to various parts of the subcontinent. Jainism and Ajivakism were held in contempt by the Brahmins, whose social position they must have undermined. Going to next slide. The next one is dissemination of Dhamma. It was against this background that Ashoka expanded his famous policy of Dhamma to eliminate social tension, the sectarian conflicts, and to promote a harmonious relationship between the diverse elements of the empire. Dhamma is the Prakrit equivalent of the Sanskrit word dharma, translated as a religion in modern times, but the term used in the Ashokan edict has a much wider connotation. Ashoka's insistence on abstinence from killing, on considerate relationship between parents and children, elders and young people, friends, masters and servants, and various religious sects. It was a plea for the inculcation of virtuous behavior, transcending all social, religious, and cultural barriers. Going to next slide. And the next one, that is Ashoka's Dharma emphasized upon toleration of people and of their religious beliefs and ideas, so as to promote a harmonious life both in the family and community. However, contrary to this emphasis on toleration, Ashoka banned festive meeting or gatherings, perhaps due to the fear of conflict arising out of the differences of opinion. Ashoka denounced all useless ceremonies and sacrifices held under the influence of superstitions. Ashoka's Dhamma also emphasized upon non-violence. After the Kalinga War, Ashoka is said to have renounced all further bloodshed. Ashoka also tried to propagate his policy through his edicts inscribed on rocks or monolithic pillars. Many of these edicts have come to light. Going to next one. The next slide, that is political administration. The Mauryan state had a vast administrative setup with the king at the center. Megasthenes puts a total number of the Mauryan army 4 lakhs. No other ruling house in ancient India contained an army bigger than that of the Mauryas. It gave the state immense coercive power, immense coercive power, and enhance the prestige and glamour of the Mauryan king. Simultaneously, Ashoka reached a totally new and inspiring ideal of kingship when he asserted, "All men are my children, and whether exertion I make, I strive only to discharge the debt that I owe to all living creatures." There are also references to an inner council, mantris, a small group of ministers who would be consulted on issues which needed immediate attention. An orderly legal system was established to maintain social order, smooth functioning of the administration system, and to flow of revenue to the state. Going to next slide. Next one, that is revenue. Kautilya has listed different resources from where revenue flowed into the state treasury. The treasury was looked after by an official called Sharnidhata. The cities paid its own revenue in the form of fines, sales tax, shulko, excise on sale of liquor, a kind of income tax imposed on the rich, etc. In fact, the Arthashastra lists 21 such taxes collected by the Durga. From rural areas, the state derived the revenue in the form of income from crown lands, Shita, land revenue, Vaga from cultivators, taxes on orchards, ferry charges, etc. Taxes were levied on merchants traveling by road or waterways. Taxes were also levied on exports and imports. Most of the revenue collection which went to the state treasury had their outflow in the form of expenditure on army, administration, salaries, king, etc. Going to next one. That is public works. The state took considerable interest in irrigation because it was a major source of revenue. To this effect, it built dams, ponds, canals, etc. There were certain regulations regarding the use of water resources, and breaking these was a state offense. The state also helped the citizens during natural calamities like floods, famines, etc. The Arthashastra mentions that the king should look after orphans, unattended women, etc. An important aspect of public works was the laying down and repair the roads and opening of inns. Thus, it can be said that the state did spend a certain amount from its revenues on public works. This must have increased during the time of Ashoka due to his concern for public welfare and paternal attitude towards his subjects. Going to next slide. That is the provincial administration. The kingdom was divided into 4 provinces. From Ashokan edicts, we get the name of 4 provincial capitals. That was Toshali in the east part, Ujjain in the west part, Subarnagiri in the south, and Takshila between the Indus and Jhelum rivers in the north. The head of the provincial administration was the Kumara, royal prince, who used to govern the provinces as the king's representative. The Kumar was in turn assisted by the Mahamatto and a council of ministers. From the Ashokan edicts, we understand that the Mahamatto were performing various activities like looking after the border areas, judicial work, etc. Another category of high officials was that of Amattos. This category too must have held special powers, for it was against their arbitrary actions that the people of Takshila revolted during the reign of Bimbisara and Ashoka. Going to next slide. And this is about the district and the village level administration. Okay. The administrative units included a setup at the district level consisting of a number of villages. Each village had its own administrative unit. Officials listed in the district level during the period were Pradeshta, Rajuka, and Yukta, the first being the overall in charge of the district. Their functions included survey and assessment of land, tours and inspections, revenue collection and maintenance of law and order, etc. The official at the village level administration was Gramika, usually a local person though the setup at this level must have varied according to local conditions. But we do find Gopa and Stanika, two types of officers acting as intermediaries between the district and village level administrations. Going to next one, the next slide. Relation maintenance. Okay, with regards to the Mauryan relations with other powers, it can be said that after the Mauryan expansion reached its limit, the emphasis shifted to consolidation and having friendly relations not only with immediate neighbors but with the far-off countries. In Rock Edict 13, Ashoka has referred to 5 contemporary rulers. They were Antiochus, that is Antiochus II of Syria, Urmaya, that is Ptolemy II, then was Antigone, that is Antigonus of Macedonia, then Magas of Cyrene, then Alexander of Epirus. This reference to these rulers is in the context Dhammo Vijaya, indicating that missions were sent to these rulers with the message Dhammo. Sri Lanka remained another friendly neighbors, again due to the policy of Dhammo. Next one, that is reasons of Mauryan downfall. Okay, very important. The Mauryan Empire broke up 50 years after the death of Ashoka, 231 BC. Brihadrata was the last ruler of the main line of the Mauryas. Okay, Brihadrata. He is said to have been slain by his Brahmana general Pushyamitra Shunga, who founded an independent dynasty. According to another group of scholars, Ashoka's policies, his supposed obsession with non-violence is said to have led to the weakening of the Maurya's army. The large amount of money spent under the Ashoka on public works and also his tours and that of his officials meant a further strain of the treasury. The gradual weakening of royal finances, a quick succession of rulers after Ashoka in a highly centralized administration led to the speedy collapse of the empire. Okay, and going to the next one. That slide is about the stupas and the sculptures. Okay, stone masonry was introduced on a wide scale. The ruins of a 80-pillar hall have been discovered at Kumarhar on the outskirts of Patna, undoubtedly a part of Chandragupta's palace, but probably rebuilt by his grandson Ashoka. Ashoka's contribution to Indian art is number of monolithic pillars, most of them bearing his inscriptions, which have been found in widely separated parts of the subcontinent. The animals, lions and elephants, a bull and a pair of quadruple adorned lions, which form a crowning features of these columns, comprise the first important group of the Indian sculpture. Ashoka is also associated with the small number of excavated cave shrines in the Barabar Hills, just north to the Bodh Gaya. The great stupa at Shanchi near Vidishlia in central India was also first built by Ashoka. And the next one that is conclusion. This video sums up the key findings of this study on the reign of Ashoka Maurya and the collapse of the Mauryan dynasty. It describes the place of Ashoka against the background of the 3rd century BC in India and distinction between Ashoka and the man, Ashoka the man and Ashoka the monarch. It suggests that Ashoka's greatness lay in the fact that he was equipped both by his own endeavor and by circumstances to understand the culture to which he belonged and its then rapidly changing requirements. It also clarifies a popular misconception about the Mauryan period, which describes it as one of which was politically decentralized and individually democratic, whereas in fact it was in the beginning of political centralization, and it also saw the triumph of the social order, which did not permit of much individual liberty. Okay, friends. So I think you have enjoyed this lesson. Thank you so much for watching this And thank you so much for watching my channel. Keep learning with me, keep practicing, and go ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you.